Hello, I'm Will and this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we'll be looking at issue 67 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. This came with the first lot of parts for our second unit of 10 Neophyte Hybrids for the Genestealer Cults. We'll see them in action in the next video, but in this one we'll be playing our next Combat Patrol game in our campaign. In the magazine we have the build guide again. This is exactly the same as the one from issue 64, where we got the first unit of Neophyte Hybrids, and they actually have exactly the same loadout in the Combat Patrol, so you just follow these instructions again, and I'm not going to go over them in detail because there's no difference. So a couple of pages later we have a short story called Insurrection, where some Cadian shock troops are fighting against Genestealer Cult insurrectionists, and are being hard pressed by their assault. But unfortunately it turns out that one of their trusted comrades is in fact a Genestealer Cult member himself, with deadly consequences. And then we have a collection article for our second unit of Neophyte Hybrids. Once again, you can roll for their background and record their name. You might want to go for a different one for your previous one, obviously. And their datasheet, which is actually the same as the previous one once again. So I'll hand you over to Mike, who will be taking us into our campaign game for this issue.
So as usual, since we haven't got a new unit in this issue, there is no tutorial game for them. But first up we have two campaign games for the Genestealer Cults. So we have Genestealer Cults versus Space Marines on Scorched Earth. And as usual, it's got all the victory outcomes if you'd like to pause and zoom in and read them. And then Genestealer Cults versus Tyranids on Sweeping Raid. And again, the victory outcomes for those games. And then we have learned the Genestealer Cults faction abilities and their stratagems and enhancements and so forth, which we'll have to wait a few issues to be able to see in action, but we have their faction ability first, which is Cult Ambush, where each time a unit with this ability is destroyed, you roll a d6 and add 3 to the result, which is a battle line unit, and on a 4+, that unit is placed into Cult Ambush, and you can place one Cult Ambush marker anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. If that's not possible, no marker is placed. If an enemy model, excluding aircraft, ends any kind of move within 9 inches of a Cult Ambush marker that has been placed, that marker is removed, and at the end of the reinforcement step of your opponent's next movement phase, for each of your Cult Ambush markers that is still on the battlefield, you can select one unit from your army that is in Cult Ambush and set that unit back up on the battlefield using the Deep Strike ability, containing all its models with their 4 wounds remaining, and with at least one of those models touching the Cult Ambush marker you picked, and the marker is then removed. Although do note that in Combat Patrol, in battle rounds 4 and 5, units in Cult Ambush cannot be set up again. Any characters that were attached to the unit when it was destroyed do not return to that unit, so effectively if the Magus is attached to a unit of Neophytes and all the Neophytes die and the Magus survives, the Neophytes will come back, but she won't join them again. And each time a unit with this ability is destroyed, it triggers any rules that apply when it's destroyed. So if the opponent gains victory points for destroying enemy units and the unit set up from Cult Ambush is destroyed again, they will score victory points for that second unit as well. It's essentially an entirely new unit. And on the back page there are some 32mm Cult Ambush markers, although many people like to make their own. You just need some 32mm bases. And then there's just some tutorials of how it works. Although you do note that because the Neophyte Hybrids have the battle line keyword, they will always come back, because even if you roll a 1, that's still a 4+ on the d6. And some of the notes on placing the markers, you have to have a little bit of thought about where you place them, so enemies can't just move into them in their next turn, and then reinforcements and how you bring them back. And then on to their other Combat Patrol rules, the enhancements, secondary objectives and stratagems. It gives you a little bit of background on each of the 3 different subcategories. First up are the enhancements for the Magus. The default enhancement is Psionic Shield, where while the Magus is leading a unit, each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model of that unit, you add 1 to their save rolls. Seeing as most Genestealer Cults have a save of 5+, the extra 1 can be quite helpful. And the alternate enhancement is Resonance Stave, which gives melee weapon, anti-infantry 5+, and devastating wounds. And then the secondary objectives, the default one is Rise Up, where from the second battle round onwards, at the end of your opponent's turn, you roll 1d6 for each objective marker you control that has 1 or more Neophyte Hybrid units from your army within range of it, excluding battle shock units. And on a 1 to 3 you score 1 victory point, or on a 4+ you score 3 victory points. While Will of the Patriarch, at the end of the battle you score 15 victory points if the Magus is within 3 inches of the centre of the battlefield. And then there are 3 stratagems. We have Defend the Magus, which is used in your shooting phase or at the start of the fight phase. You can pick 1 Magus unit from your army and 1 enemy unit within engagement range of that Magus unit. And until the end of the phase, each time a Genestealer Cults model from your army attacks that enemy unit, you reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1. Next up we have Lurking Killers, which is used in your opponent's shooting phase after an enemy unit has selected its targets. You target 1 Genestealer Cults infantry apart from the Aberrants that was selected as the target by the attacking unit, and until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. And then Return to the Shadows, which is also 1 CP. It's using your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move, and you target one Genestealer Cults infantry unit from your army within 9 of that enemy unit, and that unit can make a normal move of up to D6, unless it has the Magus attached, and then it can make a normal move of 6 inches instead. And here are the cut-out Cult ambush markers. But for our game for this video, we're going back to issue 58, because our next campaign game will be Aeldari versus Orks, because we've only seen the Aeldari once so far, and everyone else has played at least 2 games, and both these factions are on 1 victory at the moment, and this will be taking place on Forward Outpost. So we'll get the game set up and get into it. So here we are set up for Forward Outpost. Objective 1 at the top, 2 in the Aeldari deployment zone on the left, 3 in the Orc deployment zone on the right, and 4 at the bottom. And for this game, we'll be playing the Aeldari, and I'll be playing the Orcs. Having a look at my deployment as the Orcs, I've decided to deploy everything on the board, and I'm bringing the Deathcopters rather than the Boomdacker Snazwagon, because I think I need the rockets to help take out Aeldari bikes. At the top of the board, I've got the unit of boys with the rocket launcher and the power claw. Just behind them is the Warboss in mega armor, obscured by the Death Dread, and the other unit of boys to hold Objective 3, the one with the big shooter, and the Deathcopters behind some obscuring terrain. Get a better shot of the Warboss, and his enhancement is going to be Grizzled Scarboy, so he takes half damage from range attacks, and my secondary objective is going to be Proper Looting, so I could potentially get some victory points for that, because while Aeldari units are fairly fragile for Stomp 'em, that requires a melee attack, and Aeldari units are quite hard to pin down in melee, so I'll take the Proper Looting. And here we see the Aeldari deployment.
So I'm bringing the Wraith Lord and not the Wraith Guard because I think they're more susceptible to rockets, and the Wraith Lord is better in melee. I split the Wind Riders into 2 units of 3, each with a scatter laser. One of those is on either flank. The Guardians are in the centre with the Farseer attached and the Wraith Lord next to them. The Farseer is going to have the default enhancement, which is Foresight, which lets his unit fire Overwatch once per turn for 0 CP, hitting on 5s or 4s if they're standing on an objective that I control. And for my secondary objective, I'm going to pick a Greater Destiny, which is 10 victory points if I have a unit in my opponent's deployment zone at the end of the battle, because the other one involves taking objectives not in my deployment zone, which are going to be covered in Orcs.
We roll off to see who goes first, and the Aeldari will be going first. So we're into Aeldari turn 1.
And here you can see my fate dice roll. I rolled 12, didn't like it. I re-rolled it twice, taking 1 die out each time until I got a result I was happy with, and this was pretty good because there's nothing lower than a 3. So everything's moving up. The Wind Rider squad on the far side had to advance to get onto Objective 1. The Guardians just peeking out from behind their cover. The other 3 Wind Riders getting onto Objective 4. The Wraith Lord coming down the centre.
And Fortune went on the Wind Riders on the south end of the board.
Yeah, so that gives them -1 to be wounded. And I did get another fate die from the Guardians on Objective 2, which was another 4. On to shooting, I'll do the Guardians first. Well, it'll actually just be the Farseer's Eldritch Storm and the Star Cannon going into the unit of boys that they can see on the other side of the board.
Yeah, and I'm going to spend a CP to help the Orcs go to ground.
Starting with Eldritch Storm, which is a blast weapon, so D6 plus 2 shots. 4, hitting on 3s. No, 3 ones. And it wound on a 3. There's 1 wound at -2.
6 plus invulnerable save. Nope, lose an Orc.
And the Star Cannon is 2 shots on 3s. 1 hit, wounds on a 3. No. Then I'll do the Wind Riders closer to the camera, shooting at the same Orcs, and I'll spend a CP for Storm of Shots, but that can affect 2 Aeldari mounted units, so both Wind Rider units can have +1 to hit. Starting with the Scatter Laser, 6 shots on 2s now, and we're also re-rolling everything because they're the closest target. 6 hits, wounding on 4s. 4 wounds with no 18.
So we've got cover from go to ground, so we've got 4 plus saves. Get them all in the box. Save 3, so we lose another Orc.
And 4 Shuriken Catapults. They all hit, they wound on 5s. But re-rolling because it's twin linked. 3 wounds at -1.
So 5 plus armor saves. Made them all.
And the other Wind Rider unit is going to shoot at the other unit of Orc boys. Scatter Laser can't shoot, but the Shuriken Catapults are assault weapons because they advanced. They'll also be on 2s re-rolling because these boys are the closest target. That's fortunate. They all hit, and again 5s re-rolling. 1 wound at -1.
And we've got cover from the crater, so we have a 5 plus. Nope, lose an Orc.
Finally, the Wraith Lord is going to shoot at the first unit of Orc boys, and it's all just in range. Bright Lance on a 4, missed. 2 Shuriken Catapults on 4s. 3 hits, 5s to wound, 2.
Still got cover, so 5 plus saves. Made 1, failed 1. Lose another Orc.
But that'll be the end of my turn.
So we'll be on to Orcs turn 1. Well, first thing moving up is going to be the Deathcopters.
And when they do that, I'll use the Farseer's enhancement to let the Guardians unit overwatch them for 0 CP. And we will be hitting on 5s with this. We'll start with the Star Cannon. 5. Nope. Then Eldritch Storm, D6 shots, 1, which missed, and 20 shots from Shuriken Catapults, hitting on 5. Rerolling the cocked one, 7 hits, wounding on 5s, 1.
Deathcopter has got cover from the barricade, so we have a 4+. Saved. My rest of my movement, the rest of the lads are moving up, so we've got boys and the Death Dread coming into the middle. Other unit of boys with the War Boss just behind them. We're going to start shooting with the Deathcopters, who will all shoot at the Wind Riders.
And I'll spend a CP for whip fast reactions to give them -1 to hit with the shooting attack.
Starting with the copter rockets, D3 shots each. 6. Hitting on 6s. We got 1. Wounds on a 3 because of Fortune, but twin linked. So it wounds, -2 AP.
There's one behind cover, so I'll just spend a 4 fate die to pass that automatically.
Custom Mega Blaster has 3 shots each. That will miss, and it's hazardous. So he's fine. And they got their sluggers in range. That will miss. I'll do the Death Dread next. It's going to put its rocket into the Guardians because it's got Blast. D3 plus 2 shots for 4 on 5s. 2. Wounding on 2s. Getting 2.
There are a couple who have cover from the angle of the Death Dread, so I'm just going to take the saves on 5s. Nope, 2 dead.
We also have the unit of boys next to the Death Dread, where only the big shooter is going to be in range of anything. So it's got 5 shots at this range on 5s. That will miss. So up at the top, I'll start with that unit of boys, who will put all their shots into the other unit of Wind Riders, and they're all in range. D3 shots from the rocket launcher. Well, 3 shots on 5s because of Orks. Getting 2 hits. Wounding on 2s. 10 shots from shooters and sluggers on 5s. Getting 3. Wounding on 4s. Nope. And the big shooter on the War Boss. 5 attacks into the bikes on 4s. 2. Wounding on 3s. 2.
3+ saves, so I'll spend a fate die to pass 1 and roll the other and succeed.
So in the charge phase, I'm going to start with the unit of 9 boys at the top. They're going to charge the Wind Riders. Do need some decent rolls here, so they need a 9. 4 is not enough, and I'll spend my CP to re-roll that one. Oh, an 8. It's not quite enough. I'll send the Deathcopters into the other unit of Wind Riders, and they'll also need a 9. An 8. I'll send the Death Dread into the Wind Riders, and it needs a 10. A 9. And another unit of boys needs an 11. Oh, we were close. But that'll be it. We'll get them next battle round as we head into Aeldari turn 2. So at the start of the battle round, I will declare a war.
And in my command phase, I gained 10 victory points for holding objectives 1 and 4, and Fortune was successful and I put it on the Wraith Lord. And here you can see my movement was shifting everything towards the bottom of the board, so the Wind Riders who were on Objective 4 have come down next to the Deathcopters, the ones from the other side of the board have come over to Objective 4, the Guardians have moved into the cover near the objective, and Wraith Lord has gone up towards the Death Dread. And we'll start the shooting with the Wraith Lord. We'll put the Bright Lance into the Death Dread and the Shuriken Catapults into the Orc boys behind it. Bright Lance on a 4, hit, wounds on a 3, yes, -3.
5+ a vulnerable save. Yes.
And Catapults on 4s, 3 hits, 5s to wound, no. I'll shoot with the Guardians next. They're going to put everything into the Deathcopters, and I'll spend a CP to give them +1 to hit. Starting with the Star Cannon again on 2s. Does get a miss. I'll use a 3 to auto wound because I want this to wound at -3.
So we have 5+ vulnerable save, but there are some of them on cover, so I'll take it on one of them first. Yes.
Singing Spear next on a 2. Yep. Strength 9, so it wounds on a 3. Yep. No AP.
So a 3+ in cover, I guess. Yep.
Eldritch Storm, D6 shots, 6. On 2s, 5 hits, wounding on 4s. I'll use a 4 as well for this, so it would be 4 to roll. Getting another 2, so 3 at -2.
So 4+ saves. Made 2. 1 goes through.
D3 damage, 1.
So Deathcopter's down to 3.
And 16 Shuriken Catapult shots now on 2s. 14 hits, wounding on 5s. Get them in the box. Didn't help, 1 wound.
So we'll have a 4+ save for the one in cover, which he failed. It's down to 2.
I'll do the Wind Riders next to the Guardians at the Orc boys behind the Death Dread. Scatter Laser on 3s. 3 hits, wounding on 4s, 2.
I think one boy is in cover, just about behind the pipe, so we might as well put it on him. He's got a 4+. He's dead, and then another boy lives.
And the Shuriken Catapults, 3 hits, wounding on 5s, re-rolling. Oh, well, that one was one I knocked over, so it was 3 wounds at -1.
Yeah, that other boy would have been the big shooter, I think, because he's the least important. So he is still alive and now dead. Then a slugger is dead.
And the other Wind Riders are going to go into the Death Copters in front of them, see if we can take out the damaged one at least. Scatter Laser. Do get to reroll 1s now because it's the closest. 5 hits, wounding on 5s. 1.
4+ armor save. Failed. Got down to 1.
And then the Shuriken Catapults. Get them in the box. 2 hits. 5s rerolling to wound. No. Wraithlord is going to declare a charge on the Death Dread. Don't really need to roll, but see where it can go. 8 is plenty. It will charge in front of those boys to stop them getting past to the objective. And then the Wind Riders next to the Death Copters will charge them. Probably not a fight they can win in the long run, but it will hold them up at least and stop them shooting next turn. Well, they're in. And they go in like that. So I suppose I'll fight with them first. They have 3 attacks each, hitting on 3s. 8 hits, only winning on 6s because they are toughness 6, so 1 wound.
So we have a 4+ armor save, which I make.
The Wraithlord will use the strike profile, so 4 attacks on 4s. Only 1. And wound on a 3. Yes.
5+ invulnerable save for the Death Dread. Yes. 21 attacks from the Death Copters, because I've got the War, hitting on 3s. 14 hits, wounding on 3s. So that's going to be 7 wounds at no AP. We'll use a 3 to pass 1 automatically, just cut down the amount of saves I have to make on 3s. Good thing I did, because that's 3 fails. And then the Death Dread, it's got 7 attacks, 4 base, 2 for extra choppy and 1 for the War, hitting on 3s. 5 hits. It is strength 11 in the War, but the Wraithlord has fortune on it, so we're still hit wounding on 5s. Get it in the box. It's 2 wounds at -2.
4s to save. Make both.
Just remember the Wraithlord needs to make a battle shock test. Will didn't use any stratagems on it, so it wouldn't have made any difference for its attacks.
To start the fight phase being in melee with the Death Dread, right past with the flying colours.
Oh, and that's the end of Aeldari turn 2, on to Orks turn 2. So there's a unit of boys with 4 models left. They need to make a battle shock test. They'll definitely fail with a 3. The unit of 4 boys that battle shocked advanced and got closer to the 2 remaining Wind Riders in this unit. The other unit of boys advanced, and I had to spend a CP to re-roll it from a 1 into a 4, and they're coming into the middle of the board.
But I will use the Farseer's free Overwatch on them, and because I'm on an objective that I control, I'll be hitting them on 4s. Because I have Eldritch Storm to start with. D6 plus 1, 2. On 4s, nope. Star Cannon on 4s, that hit. Wounds on 3s, 2 going through.
5+ invulnerables. Made 1 failed one, so we lose an Orc.
16 Shuriken Catapults. 11 hits, wounding on 5s. Was cocked. 4 wounds.
5+ invulnerables again. Made 1, so we lost 4 Orcs so far.
And the Singing Spear missed.
Also up at the top, the War Boss advanced to get on objective 1, while the Death Dread and the Death Copters are going to stay in melee. So I'm going to start shooting with the Death Copters. They can't shoot into melee with their rockets, so they'll put the 2 Copter rockets into the Guardians, 3 Sluggers into the Wind Riders, and I won't shoot the Custom Mega Blaster because it's hazardous and I might lose a full Copter. D3 shots on the Guardians. So that was 4 plus 2 shots each for blast, so that's 8 shots. Hitting on 6s though, because we're firing out of combat. Still 2 hits. Wounding on 2s. 2 wounds. -2.
Yeah, we'll take it on Guardians in cover, so 5s. No, I rolled some fake dice, but one of them passed.
3 Slugger shots into the melee on 6s. No. Sluggers are pistols, so they don't get the -1 to hit, so that is actually a hit. Wounds on a 4. No. The Death Dread will fire its rocket launcher at the Guardians as well. This time it's D3 plus 1, because there's only 9 models left in the Guardians unit. So 3 shots. Again on 6s, because firing out of melee. No. Onto the charge phase, the 5 boys in the middle will charge the unit of Wind Riders closest to them. And remember they can advance and charge because of the War. So they're going to need to re-roll that 2 into a 7, that's good enough. So the Orcs get into the Wind Riders. Hopefully if they manage to kill all the Wind Riders, I can pile into the Guardians. These other Orcs are going to charge the other unit of Wind Riders. They get a 4, which is enough to get them in. So I'll do this unit of boys at the bottom first. 12 attacks with choppers because of the War, hitting on 3s. And 8 hits, wounding on 3s because we've got +1 strength from the War. That is 6 wounds from choppers at -1.
Needing 4s. Failed 2, so there's 1 left on a wound.
And then we need the big chopper from the boss to do some work. He hits 4 times, wounding on 2s. And he wounds 4 times at AP -1.
4s. No.
The other unit of boys, I'll do the power crawl first because all the Wind Riders are unwounded. He has 4 attacks on 4s. We're still getting 3. Wounding on 2s once again because he's strength 10 at the moment. 2 wounds at -2.
I use a 5 to pass one of them automatically and then roll the other. Oh, succeeded.
Then 16 attacks on the boys on 3s. Get one that went out of the box. We've got 10 hits, wounding on 3s. 6 wounds at -1.
I'll use 2 4s and roll 4 of them because I really need these to survive. Failed 3, so lose 1.5.
So 2 boys that were not in base contact get to consolidate and can get onto the objective, so I can out OC the Aeldari on objective 4. But that's all the charges done, so the Aeldari get to pick because it's my turn, so the Wraithor gets to go.
4 attacks on 4s. 2 hits, but I'm going to spend a CP to re-roll 1. Although we're going to hold that because it does have to make a battle shock test for being in combat with the Death Dread, which might mean it can't re-roll. It failed, so actually it can't re-roll, so there's only 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, 1.
With a 5+ invulnerable? No.
D6 plus 1 damage. 3.
So Death Dread is down to 5 wounds and gets to hit back. 7 attacks on 3s. 4 hits, wounding on 5s because of Fortune. Nothing. The Wind Riders hit back and failed to do anything, so that will be the end of Orc turn 2. On to Aeldari turn 3.
So I don't gain any victory points because the Orcs have taken both of my No Man's Land objectives. The Guardians don't control the objectives, so they can't gain any fate die. And Fortune was successful and put it on the Guardians themselves. So the Guardians have moved, so more of them are in cover and indeed on the objective, so we'll take that back at least at the end of the phase. The Wraithor will stay in combat, and the 2 Wind Riders have fallen back just to get out of range of everything basically. Now we'll be on to shooting. We'll start with the Wraithor because it's easy. Right Lance will go into the Death Dread, while the Shuriken Catapults will go into the boys behind it. Right Lance on 5. Nope. Catapults also on 5s. Got 1 hit, 5 to wound. No. And the Guardians, Farseer and the Star Cannon will put the weapons into the Death Copters. All of the Shuriken Catapults from the Guardians are going into the Orc boys in front of them. And I'll spend another command point for Storm Shots to give them +1 to hit. Starting off with the Star Cannon on 2s. Yes, 3s to wound. 2 wounds.
2 in cover, so 5s. Fell both, so 1 dead, 1 down to 2.
Eldritch Storm, D6 shots, 6 on 2s. Yes, 4s to wound. 2 wounds.
5s again. Save 1, failed 1.
The one that goes through does D3 damage, 3, kills another one.
So just 1 left.
And the Singing Spear on a 2 and a 3. Wounded.
4+ armour. Failed. I'll re-roll that. Succeeded.
And 7 Guardians with Catapults on the Orc boys on 2s. 11 hits, wounding on 5s. 3 wounds.
6s. No.
No charges from me.
So straight to the fight phase where the Death Dread will get to go first.
Wraithlord has to make a battle shock test again. It succeeds this time, so it can use stratagems. Down to
6 attacks now because we've lost the War on 3s. Getting 3. Wounding on 5s because it's only strength 10. 1 wound at -2, I think.
4+. Yep. Wraithlord has 4 attacks on 4s. Getting 2 hits, but I have a CP now, which I can use to get a 3rd hit. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
5+ armour save. No.
2d6 plus 2 essentially. That's going to be 7 damage, that'll be enough.
It will die. Does it explode? No.
And a Consolidate move is enough to get in range of objective 4, which repositions the Wraithlord a little bit better anyway, so I'm going to do that.
And that will be the end of Aeldari turn 3, on to Orcs turn 3. Now we have a bunch of battle shock tests to make, so I'll do the 2 boys near objective 4. Are fine with a 10. The remaining Death Copter fails, that's fine. And the 4 boys fail. I think I will spend it to auto pass for them. I score 5, holding objective 1, and the War Boss will loot it. And he rolls a 6, which gets me another 5 for the secondary. The War Boss is going to move towards those spikes, while down at the bottom nobody's going to move because we'll just get overwatched by the Guardians if we do. But there will be some shooting, which will be the Death Copters into the Guardians. D3 plus 1 shots. 3 on 5s, getting 2. Wounding on 3s because of Fortune. So that helps, that's 1 wound, -2.
They're all in cover, so a 5. Nope.
6 slugger shots from various Orcs. 1 hit, which wounds.
3 in cover. Oh, I did kill another one.
And up at the top we've got the war boss shooting his big shooter at the 2 Wind Riders on 4s because of a grot, 3 hits. Wounding on 3s because big shooter, they all wound.
3s to save. Saved.
And then we'll be on to the charge phase where I'll start with the Death Copter into the Guardians.
I get the free Overwatch, and obviously if it makes the charge I won't be able to use it on anything else, so I'll do it now. Starting with the Singing Spear on a 4. Yes. And wounding on a 3. Yes.
4 plus armour. No, so down to 1.
Yeah, it takes 3 damage. Star Cannon misses. Eldritch Storm gets 5 shots. Only 2 hits. I think I'll use one of these 6s to make sure one of them does actually wound and the other one does anyway.
6s? Yeah, it's going to die. That leaves this unit of 2 boys who can charge. I will roll just in case. They get a 5. And the other unit of boys needs a very big roll. A 7 won't be enough. And the war boss might as well charge the 2 Wind Riders. 3 isn't enough, but that's fine. He stays on the objective. So these 2 boys get in.
I'll spend a command point for whip fast reactions for -1 to hit.
So the chopper hits on 4s, gets 2. Wounds on 4s because of -1. 1 wound at -1.
5 to save. Oh, yes.
And the Power Claw hits on 5s, gets a hit. Wounds on a 3. It does at -2.
I'll just spend a 6 to auto pass. And then the Guardians piling in. The Farseer unfortunately can't actually get in base contact with anybody. 6 attacks from the Guardians on 3s. That was only 5 dice, but only 4 hits. 5s to wound though. Oh, we did get 2.
5 plus armour. Made one, failed one, so we've just got the knob left. And that's end of Orcs turn 3. On to Aeldari turn 4.
So I gained 5 victory points because the Guardians did hold objective 4, and another fate die which was a 3. Fortune went off and went on the Guardians, but they'll stay in melee, so the movement is over at the top end of the board, where the Wraithlord is going towards the War Boss, because if he's left free he could go and take my home objective and gain points at the end of the game. And the Wind Riders are going to go over that direction via objective 1, so I can hopefully get some points from that in my turn 5. For shooting though, the Wraithlord is going to put all its guns backwards into the 4 boys over towards the bottom corner. Bright Lance, missed. Catapults, only 1 hit. Failed to wound. The Wind Riders, the Scatter Laser is in range of the Orc boys, but the Shuriken Catapult isn't, so that will go into the boss. I'll do the Catapult first. 2 hits, 5s to wound, re-rolling. Oh, 2 wounds, -1.
3 plus. Save both.
And the Scatter Laser only gets 2 hits and no wounds, because Orc's toughness 5.
Once the Wind Riders finish their shooting, I'm going to spend a CP for Crump to Gits for the War Boss. He gets to move D6 inches, and hopefully if I can get beyond the Wind Riders, it'll make the Wraithlord's charge a bit harder because he'll have to go around them. So he gets to go D6, 5. So that gets him to there. It does get him a little bit further away from the Wraithlord, and he'll have to go past the Wind Riders. And the Farseer has his Shuriken Pistol.
Hits on a 2, and wounds on a 5. Nope. So charge phase, I think the Wind Riders will charge because doing so will make the Wraithlord's charge easier. Hopefully I don't regret this. They roll an 11. That's probably what I wanted to roll for the Wraithlord, but anyway, I'll roll that next. That rolls a 6, so that probably isn't enough thanks to the War Boss moving away. That wasn't enough, have to re-roll it. An 8, that is enough. So both those charges are completed like that. I'll do the Wraithlord first. Do the strike profile, 4 attacks on 4s. Only 1 hit. Wounds on a 2. Yes.
5 plus invulnerable. No.
D6 plus 1 damage.
Oh,
7.
That's enough to kill him.
It's just enough.
And then this Orc boy gets to go. 3 attacks on 4s. Getting 3 hits. Wounding on 3s because they've got fortune on them. That made a difference. That's only 1 wound at -2.
Well, let's use that 6 to save.
Yep.
A bit of piling in does let the Farseer fight this time. 2 attacks on 2s. Yes. Wounding on 5s though, because it's only strength 3. Oh, alright. Double 6.
Probably dead.
Yeah, he's dead. 3 damage.
Yeah. That would be the end of Aeldari turn 4, and I think we'll call the game there because those boys can move, but they're just going to get overwatched.
And I will certainly be able to achieve my secondary of getting something into the enemy deployment zone for 10 points at the end of the game as well.
Yeah.
The Wind Riders are fast and the boys can't even reach them.
So that'll be an Aeldari victory, so we'll recap that for you now. So that was the game for issue 67 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How do you think that went?
Well, it wasn't going great at the start. My shooting was just not having much effect. You passed a lot of 5+ saves, particularly with the death copters. I just couldn't seem to scratch them. And then I think I possibly got a bit too aggressive, moving units too close because I thought my shooting was going to do more, and then when it didn't, I then ended up almost being overrun. I think it was just probably some fate dice bailed me out in the end, and maybe some of that free Overwatch.
Yeah, the free Overwatch every turn, you're going to chip away at the Orks, because their saves aren't great, even on the death copters.
And the fact they hit on 4s if they're on the objective with their free Overwatch is just a bit ridiculous, to be honest. And the Wraith Lord not taking any damage from the Death Dread was handy, although to be honest, even if it got damaged, I wasn't too worried about it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything the Orks can really do to deal with the Wraith Lord. And you were able to whittle enough of them down so that I couldn't overrun you in melee.
Did have a bit of trouble wounding Orks, quite a lot of small arms in the Eldari Patrol, though.
It's all the wounding on 5s is the issue.
And I think you used War at the right time as well, because the 5+ invulnerable save really came in handy. I really was struggling to even kill boys, let alone damage the bigger stuff. And the advance and charge meant you were able to reposition faster than the Orks normally would be able to, and actually get a couple of charges off. I was also probably lucky, though, that none of your 9-inch charges went off in the first turn. With a reroll, you rolled 4 of them. You, on average, expect to get at least one of those.
Yeah, if I'd got one of them in, I think it would be in a much better position.
Yeah, the Death Copters coming in with 6 attacks each. They will mince Guardians. And even a full Orc Boys unit charging something can make a mess of it, so...
Yeah, if I was able to kill your Wind Riders over on the top, I think I would be in a much better position. I would have stickied that objective and been able to move down.
Yeah. Against an army that's less good in melee, the Wind Riders are perfectly serviceable as a charge in and tie something up unit, but actually against Orcs, they really didn't do that job very well. Probably wouldn't try that again. As it was, I was just about able to salvage a Wind Rider unit that would have been able to go and get my 10 secondary points at the end of the game, although that relied on a re-rolled charge against the War Boss, and then quite a lucky maximum damage roll.
Yeah, if you hadn't killed the War Boss, then I think he might have been able to kill the 2 Wind Riders.
Probably would have still won on primary points because you didn't have enough units left, but from an Aeldari point of view, a faction that really doesn't like attrition, that was far too close.
Yeah, it did feel like it was pretty close until the last turn.
Although I suppose the other way of looking at this is, even with a poor early shooting, the Aeldari still managed to pull out a win, so the Aeldari Combat Patrol does seem to be one of the stronger ones, at least based on past results.
Yeah, unfortunately it's hard to say what I would have done differently, because if I'd done things differently, you probably would have done stuff differently. I think the usual plan of just run at you. I mean, I could have put the Death Copters in Deep Strike, but you probably would have held some Wind Riders back. I could have called the War in the first battle round, knowing that I was going second, but you wouldn't have gotten close enough for me to be able to advance and charge at you, so...
If you put the Death Copters in Deep Strike, then all the firepower they soaked up would have gone into boys that had probably taken them down. I think they still did better than the Snazwagon would have done, though. It has more anti-infantry firepower, but that's not something that really matters all that much to Orcs anyway. And the threat of their rockets, they have more wounds than it, and they're better in melee, was what was decisive for them.
And unfortunately, the stratagem that lets Orcs fall back and charge only works on infantry.
The stratagem where you can move after being shot nearly came in handy.
Yeah, probably could have used it a turn earlier to move the Death Copters or the Death Dread possibly into more towards the middle. It's got the Death Dread in the open, and then those boys behind it could have moved out into the middle and gotten into the Guardians, maybe.
Fortune was useful as well. Made the Death Dread struggle against the Wraith Lord even with War. Probably saved a few Guardians.
And I think you used basically all your fate dice as well.
Yes, I did. I think I was down to 1-3 left at the end. That's never happened before. I guess that goes to show that the Eldari were rather tested in this game, because often I finished the game with half of them left. Being able to just use a 5 or a 6 against something that's going to destroy a Wind Rider in particular is really useful.
Yeah, but otherwise, might be a little while before we see either of these two forces again, because I think the Orcs have played 3 games now. The Eldari have only played 2, but they've won 2, so I think they would technically win the campaign if they win their next one. We've already seen Neophytes in action, but we'll see our new unit in the next one. We'll leave any comments how you've been getting on with the magazine. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.